This episode of Epic Thoughts is brought to you in part by Streamyard. Yo, you've been talking about doing a podcast forever, and you don't know where to start. I get that. Yo, Streamyard is here to help you. Streamyard does everything for you. It sends it to all the places that you want the podcast to go. If you have an RTTP, it'll send it to it. You have a YouTube channel, it'll send it to it. You have a Facebook, it'll send it to it. As a matter of fact, you can even go live on your computer and send it directly to where you need it to go. You can also have audio and video downloads so you can send it to your Spotify page. It does everything for you. It has video assets. You can add videos. You can even add media now. You can add text. You can add scrolling text. You can do so many different things. The list goes on and on and on. StreamYard is here to help you take your podcast to the next level. Hey, here at Epic Thoughts and Heritage Park, we use StreamYard for everything on our podcast. And so, listen, I'm telling you, it's easy to use and it's great to use. So be a part of the team. Join StreamYard today. Click the link in the description and get started. All right? God bless. Remember, you can't change the people around you unless you change the people around you. This is Epic Thoughts. Good evening, good afternoon, good night. Good morning, good afternoon, good night. It's time for Epic Thoughts. I'm your host, Rohmon. I'm glad you were able to log on. Thanks for taking the time to watch our show. It's been a minute, because a lot's been going down personally, and there's a lot been going down apparently with you. Hopefully you're doing well. Hopefully your family's doing good, and everything that you're working towards is being fulfilled. And man, where do we begin? Like, the last time I actually spoke was at the last time we had an episode we were talking about the funeral of Charlie Kirk. And bro, since then, there's so many things that have been happening. Locally, nationally, worldwide, it's just been a plethora of different scenarios to talk about. And so today's show is going to be just what the heck has been going on? What the heck has been going on in our world? First and foremost, man, I am floored. I have been a connoisseur, unfortunately, of the information that's been coming in the last couple of weeks, and I've just been appalled and just, man, I'm shocked. I am literally shocked at the levels that we have reached as a society. Like, you think you can't get no worse than this, man, it's getting pretty crazy. First things first, like, we've had two failed Rapture prophecies by the same man. I feel like if you have a failed rapture prophecy, one failed rapture prophecy is enough to be like, all right, go sit down. But we've had two. I'm laughing because it's real. You can't make this up. You cannot make this up, man. First things first, he had a rapture prophecy that rapture was coming in late September, and then after that happened, he said, "Oh, my bad. It's not late." Joshua Makala, that's his name, Joshua. We just call him Brother Joshua, bro. He has gone as far to say on a podcast that the Lord told him about 8 years ago that the rapture is going to happen the last week of September, the Festival of Trumpets. And that was September 23rd, 24th, I believe, 2025. And he was wrong, obviously. And then to make matters worse, he goes back on the same podcast the day after and says, I had it wrong. And I was like, okay, cool. He had it wrong. He was like, I had it wrong. It's October 7th. I would consider myself a man of faith, but I ain't got that kind of faith. I ain't got faith like that can be like, I'm going to stand 10 toes down, and I'm going to tell y'all, hey guys, this is when the rapture's happening, 10 toes down this date. Like, if I could have that faith for every part of my life to go on on social media, on the internet, where stuff just don't go away, nothing goes away. You can always pull it up, and he'll always be known as the guy who got it wrong twice. Now, you would think most people understand the scriptures where it says no man knows the coming of the Lord, and there's some elements to it that we're not going to get too much on the show. There's some scriptures that God makes some notable statements about times and stuff like that, times and seasons. And so I do believe that there are people who will get a stronger sense of the times and seasons, and I think those are in the scriptures, but that's not what this show's about. What gets me is how, quickly people like, dude, y'all was going crazy. People was believing it, but they wasn't just believing it. Like, they was selling their house. They were giving somebody cashed out their whole 401k. Someone cashed out their whole savings and gave it to their neighbor and was like, here's $100,000. This is my life savings. And like, first of all, the audacity to go that far and take your life savings and give it to someone and say, yo, the rapture's, I'm not going to be here Tuesday because the rapture's coming. I know you ain't going to make it. Like, the audacity. I know you ain't gonna make it, so here's 100 G's. Like, yo, like, you would think that you would go, if I knew the rapture was happening Thursday, today's Tuesday, if I knew the rapture was happening Thursday, I'd spend every waking moment, if I knew, and these people knew because they believed Brother Joshua, if the rapture was happening in 2 days, I would spend every moment I can trying to get people saved, not trying to set up people behind. Like, you're setting up, like, just in case, I just want you to be okay, because it's going to be hell. It's going to be 3.5 years of peace. It's going to be 3.5 years of madness. But if you take this 100,000, you're going to be all right. Like, that's crazy. People were doing, people had charts and scriptures and like letters in their house because they were planning to be gone. People were giving away pets. People were giving away cars, and it didn't happen. At the end of the day, the rapture did not happen. Shocker. And then we move on to the next day after. This guy gets back on social media and goes, I made a mistake. And he didn't just leave it there like, I made a mistake. He goes, I made a mistake. It's October 7th. Like, you can't be wrong that much. And people, for real though, they listen to him. They listen to this dude. They listen to his conversation. They listen to his argument. They listen to him. Like, no, baby, no, you can't listen to this man. Like, but we do. I can't believe I watched it because someone had told me about all the things that people were doing. Just watching videos on TikTok, I was seeing what people were doing in preparation for the rapture, which was crazy. First of all, let's just put things in perspective. Do I believe in the rapture? I do believe in the rapture. However, I do believe that no man knows, right? But I think there are elements to that. There's conversation that we can't get into on this platform because to have conversation, I really believe in the art of having an actual genuine conversation, like talking to somebody one-on-one and understanding this is where I'm coming from, this is the scripture, and having dialogue. I believe in dialogue more than I believe me talking at you. So this is not going to be the podcast where I share all that. Because the Bible is very clear. Don't cast your pearls upon swine. Don't give revelation to people who are not willing to receive it. It's just a waste of your time. So I do have small groups that I work with. I do have a youth ministry that I'm director of, and the young adults. And yeah, we do have conversations at that level there. However, this is not the platform for that. But I would genuinely like to think, and I believe in the rapture. I believe in the rapture, but I would like to believe that people are more smart or smart enough to go, yeah, I'm going to live every day like the rapture's coming. Like, that's what we should be doing. We should be ready. Our heart should be ready. Our life should be ready. We should live our life as someone who's ready, not someone who has to go get ready, because that's pretty much the story behind the parable of the 10 virgins, right? There are 5 that had oil, and they had their lamps lit, and then they had backup oil because they didn't know when the bridegroom was coming. And so, because they didn't know when the bridegroom was coming, they wanted to make sure that they had enough oil to keep their lamp lit for the rest of the night, especially when it got dark, because he could come in the middle of the night. Well, the parable is very clear that there was 5 that didn't have their backup oil, and their lamp began to go out, and they were trying to borrow from the other 5, and they were like, no, you gotta go find it. And they couldn't, because the stores were closed where they would get more oil and stuff like that. Parable is a very clear parable of what it's going to be like in the end times. Especially, you need to be ready, right? You can't get ready because someone gives a date. So I hope this was a wake-up call for people saying, yo, like, get ready. The pieces are coming together prophetically. If you look in the books of Revelation, even if you look at the prophecies of Daniel and Isaiah, they're prophecies, and Jesus even spoke of things to come. There are things that are coming together right now as we see it. And I think more so than ever, because there's always been a generation of people since Jesus left, since he ascended up into heaven, there's always been a generation of people who believed that this was the time, that their time was the time, right? Paul believed that his time was the end of the age. And then, John believed that it was his time, the end of the age. And then Constantine believed that it was at the end of the age then. And then it just continued to go on and on and on and on. And here we are. And I can honestly say with a lot of resolve, with a lot of resolve and a lot of determination and confidence, that this is probably the closest of course it's the closest because in time, but this is when a lot of the puzzle pieces that we've been looking for in the scriptures are making sense. And it's funny because you have conspiracy theorists and things of that nature who are online searching for signs and unbiblical set signs, right? Like these odd conversations about things that are not really discussed in the scriptures, but they're discussed in other avenues that have the Christian moniker on it. You don't need all that stuff. You just need to know. You just need to have a relationship with Jesus, and in the Holy Spirit, you'll feel in your heart. You'll see the conversation. You'll see the things happening in the news. You'll see the things happening in real life, which it's happening, man. It's happening. So, man, I'm floored about the amount of people who believe this. This isn't just a handful of people. And this isn't just like one ministry or one church. This guy was in Africa making these claims, and people all across the nation, all across the world, in different spots was like, I believe that. I'm laughing because they believed it. I wish I was the neighbor. I wish, because a lot of people don't think I'm saved just because I got resting Negro face. But a lot of people, I wish I was the neighbor that got the $100,000 check. Like, did you get it back? Did you give it back? That would be the godly thing to do. But I want to know that there are some stories I've read where they didn't get their stuff back. Like, they signed over their car. They signed over the deed to their house, and now they have no job. Some people quit their job, like literally quit their job. Like the 24th of September or 23rd of September was their last day. They quit their job. They walked off, and they were like, I'm not coming back. And because the Rapture's coming and I'm out, deuces. And they can't get their job back, man. And I've heard that he's been saying stuff, but I can't seem to get a true accurate presentation of what Joshua has been saying now. Even when I Google it, he just I don't know. Oh my gosh. Yeah. So This thing's crazy, man. This is why it's important. And I've been sharing this all the time lately. It's important that you have a relationship with God, because if you don't have a relationship with God, you're going to fall for these stupid. And just because it's Christian doesn't mean it's God ordained. You know what I mean? I don't know how many times I've seen young people like get in a relationship and they're like, well, I date him because he says he's a Christian. Like, yo, like people lie. And the people there's so many people who are Christian by they're almost like born into it. They're almost like they're not necessarily walking as a Christian. They're just a Christian because they go to church on Christmas and Easter. You know what I'm saying? Like they remember the Bible stories of David and Noah, but that doesn't mean that they're a follower of Christ, right? That's why Jesus is very clear. There's a difference between Christians and disciples. I've made it very clear. There's a difference between Christians and disciples, because anybody can get up and say, I'm a Christian. Like, and literally that's what it's been, you know. It's almost easy now. It's almost, even though nowadays it seems to be a religion that's hated on across the world, but it's always been, in my opinion, I think Christianity has always been kind of looked at in a poor light, but at the same time, it's looked in as a poor light, but it's also a lot of people just like to jump in and be like, hey guys, guess what? I'm a Christian. Wave to the people at home. And so I think there needs to be understanding that you need to get in touch with the scriptures. You need to have a relationship. You need to follow Christ. And I think that's the only way that you're going to get through this thing called life, because life is lifing, bro. I'll tell you right now, from my personal experience, life be lifing. And I've been in ministry for 30 years, and I've never had such a hard time. I'm just going to be honest with y'all. The last 2025 has been a burden. It's been a burden. I've been dragging my cross. I've been dragging my burdens. It's been a hell of a year. And the last 2-3 months specifically have been a nightmare. It's been like a horror movie for me. I've been suffering, and I know a lot of people have been suffering as well. But I just need to encourage you, bro, that like you can't, like, it's one of those things where you go, yeah, life sucks. What am I going to do about it? Right? I know for me, it's not in my cards to walk away from God. That's not an option for me. That's not an option at all, to stop believing, because I know that the ways of the transgressor is hard. So I can't just get up and walk off. That's just not in the cards for me. At the same time, I can't keep being frustrated with life. And it's just, you know, I don't know what it is, but right now in this career, it's my walk with God, it's family, it's finances. It's just everything seems to be attacked. And I know people are hungry, and they're hungry for something. So that's why whenever something shows up online, they reach and they grab for it. But you got to have a life that's grounded in the scriptures. So even when you have the moments like I'm having, where life is just fumbling all the time, you're fumbling the ball all the time. Life is not doing the way you want to. The people in your life are not acting right. Your spouse is acting crazy. Your job is being insecure. You're being insecure at your job. You don't know if you're going to have a job in the next week. You know, your income is not meeting your outcomes. And so in all that, it's important that you continue to walk with God, because in that process, you learn to just hang on to God, do what he's asked us to do, and be, you know, the scripture says, after you've done all you can do, pray. And that's what I encourage you to do. After you've done all that you can do, just pray. Just pray. God will hear your prayer. Yo, I used to spend hours editing reels. One episode of Epic Thoughts, which was running about an hour, would take me almost a day and a half to come up with reels, to find the reels, to cut them, to put word on them, to put subtitles on it, to put B-roll. It would take forever, and it was exhausting. Man, I already recorded an hour worth of podcasting too, and it would take forever. Then I came across Taja.ai. Yo, it's an AI software that basically takes your long form and turns it to your reels and all the other content you need for your social media pages. It's that simple. You upload it, you click the button, go get a cup of coffee. When you come back, it can have anywhere between 5 to 40 different reels and content ideas just off of your one long form video. It's great. And they're one of our sponsors for Epic Thoughts. Listen, I love Taja.ai. It's so easy to use. And it also gives you a score telling you which post would be more engaging on which page. It does all the thinking for you. It's great. So try it. There's a link in the description below. Try Taja.ai. You are not going to be disappointed. It even does, it takes your long form, makes it into short form. It creates reels. It even does your blog. It makes a blog out for you. Even post for your X pages and your LinkedIn page. It's so great. All right. Yo, give Taja.ai a chance. If you're making podcasts, and you're trying to shave some time off from the ridiculous hours of editing, try Taja.ai. The link is in the description. Have a great day. Back to the podcast. Yo, and so new information. What else has been happening, bro? Let's talk about Gaza. Let's talk about it. Last week was the 2-year anniversary of the horrific attack on Israel, where Hamas brutally killed hundreds of Jews and Israelis. The attack was so crazy. I remember mentioning it on this show, and I remember referring it to something you would see in the episode of G.I. Joe. Like, literally, Hamas was like Cobra. Like, they had hang gliders and parachutes, and they were attacking from the skies in hang gliders and parachutes. And I thought that's something that Cobra used to do, if you remember G.I. Joe. This has been a long-standing feud for the last 2 years. Again, one of these scenarios where the media pitches their own idea of how this thing looks, and celebrities and liberals and woke people, and take their stance based off of the information they hear instead of the information that they read or discern. And it's just been a massive on this side, it shows how ignorant we are, because we're just an ignorant group of people. We're giving away houses and cars because the dude in Africa says the rapture is happening on Thursday. And then at the same time, we are like, how dare Israel bomb Gaza and all this other stuff, and it was like Hamas was playing the role of Nino Brown. Now, if you don't know Nino Brown, I'll show you who Nino Brown is. Nino Brown is a character from one of my favorite movies, New Jack City. Okay. If you are a believer of Christ and you're very cautious of what goes into your eyes and what goes into your heart, I suggest you don't watch New Jack City. But New Jack City starred Wesley Snipes in in my opinion, one of his tour de force roles. It's Nino Brown. Wesley Snipes is Nino Brown. No one else could have played this role like Wesley Snipes. Anyways, drug dealer, New York, in I believe it was the late 80s, early 90s was the setting, the gang war and drug war of the 80s, 90s. And he played a drug dealer named Nino Brown. And there's a scene that when I read about what's going on in Gaza with Hamas, this is what I see. There's a scene where Nino Brown has got the support of the people. He's giving out turkeys on Thanksgiving. He is financially supporting people's weddings in the community. He's even giving the local pastors, money to run their churches. Okay. He's buying off love. And so there's a moment where at the same time, he's pissing off an actual mafia. And there's a scene in the movie where they're at a wedding. His gang is called CMB, Cash Money Brothers. And they're at a wedding that he paid for. There's no relation to, it was almost like a Godfather type sentiment, because but except he had no relation to the bride or the groom, but he just paid for it. So they're celebrating with the community for this wedding. It's an outdoor wedding. It's really beautiful, really lovely. And the wedding is ending and it's wrapping up and people are leaving. And the CMBs are just kind of like hanging out because that's what they do. And they're talking about what their next thing is. They're going to go to the party, whatever. And the mafia that they pissed off by doing business outside of them and making side deals decided to hit them, to ambush them, and they dressed up as the caterers for the wedding and decided that they were going to wait till everyone leaves, and then when everyone left and there was just a handful of people and the gang, they opened fire on the Cash Money brothers, ambushed them. Now they thought they can get and at the moment, it just so happened, timing wise, was there was a young girl who, one of the flower girls, drops a central piece to one of the tables, and Nino Brown is handing it to her, and then he, out of the side of his eye, he looks and he notices an ambush, and he grabs the daughter, he grabs the flower girl, and initially you're thinking, oh, he's getting the girl out of harm's way, but when the Mario Van Peebles, who's the director of this fantastic movie, it looks like he's protecting her at one point, but then you look in slow motion, he replays it, and he's holding the girl up like a shield to keep himself safe from the bullets that they were shooting. And and that picture to me is what Hamas has been doing for 2 years, right? They've been causing chaos and corruption throughout the whole world. They've been wanting to wipe the Jews completely off the map, like so many other groups of people, so many other hate groups and terrorist organizations all over the place, which is wild. And they will attack Israel. And then when Israel comes to hit back, they hold up little kids. And so they're bombing from schools. They're bombing them from churches because they know that it's going to look bad retaliating against bombing a hospital. And I don't understand how people don't have the common sense to see that and see that was blatantly evil. But at the same time, it's just been a 2-year, very tedious war, alongside of the war that's been going on for a long time in Ukraine. Well, lately, I mean, as of this week, President Trump had a meeting and was able to operate a ceasefire. And I was shocked. I was personally, I was shocked. Like, oh, ceasefire? What? did like Hamas was like, okay. And then Israel was like, all right. It's so, this world is so funny because Trump was the one that got him to sit in the room and be like, listen, guys, we both are hurt. You're both angry. I understand. We have to stop this now. Too many people are getting hurt. A lot of senseless lives are being lost. You've done some things. You've done some things. Let's just call it a wash. And Hamas was like, all right. Israel said, yeah. Excuse me. That was a weird noise. Anyways, and so they came to agreement with a ceasefire, and they were supposed to return hostages, I believe, yesterday. What has ended up happening, however, is and this is one of those things we should have known. We should have known. Hamas is not going to do what they said they're going to do. Hamas has handed over the bodies of 4 more Israelis to the Red Cross, bringing the number of released deceased captives to 8. So Hamas is now killing the hostages and then releasing the dead bodies. Amongst releasing some hostages, they have killed 8 so far, and they've given them back. So now, because of that, Israel says that it's only allowing a certain amount of aid into Gaza. So now they're pulling back on aid, they're not letting the trucks get through with aid and delaying it. The slow release of the dead because they're releasing dead captives. So Hamas is like, yeah, we'll release hostages, and then was like, psych, we're going to kill them. Then we'll give. That was just completely evil. So now they're starting to go at each other again. They're starting to fuss, and you can see why, right? Hamas is like, all right, we'll get people going, and then they shoot them, kill them, because they were supposed to be released yesterday, and they're killing hostages and then giving them to them. And so then Israel's like, well, we're not going to send aid. we're going to close up the roads from Rafah, and we're not going to give up aid. And so now Trump is sitting here. Now Trump is like, okay, he is warned, calls Hamas to disarm, warning, if they don't disarm, we will disarm them. And it will happen quickly and perhaps violently. So now Trump has spoken. I will say this about President Trump. You can say what you want about him. When he's talking about getting violent and throwing hands, like, can we like believe him? To think that he wouldn't throw hands, to think that he wouldn't bomb somebody is if you think that he wouldn't do that to somebody, you've twisted, you've lost it. If you think that that's not out of the range of possibility for this man. Israeli war on Gaza has killed at least 67,913 people and wounded 170,134 since October of 2023. A total of 1,139 people were killed in Israel during the October 7th. So the initial attack on Israel, they killed 1,139 people. Hamas killed 1,139 people during the October 7th attack, and about 200 were taken captive. Palestinians were returned. Israeli returned some of the Palestinian. This is just, I don't understand. And this is one of those things where you look at that and you go, yeah, I think Jesus is coming back. He got to. Now, listen, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't understand Christians that don't understand that we should stand with stand with Israel. I stand with Israel. Okay. But if you know me at any level, you know that I'm both and. I'm a both and kind of guy. Both and meaning this. I can stand with you and not like what you do. Right? And I don't even know what that means. What does that mean when we say, I stand with this people? Like, what does that mean? Does that mean you're willing to take a bullet for them? Are you willing to, like, what does it really mean when people say, I stand with Israel? Like, why do they care if I stand over? Like, I don't understand that part because people take it very seriously. I stand with Palestine. I stand with the LGBT. I stand with, like, what does that mean? And really, are you really about that noise? Like, are people really about that noise? Do you really willing to take one for what you believe in? Like, that's hardcore. Like, in the wake of the death of Charlie Kirk, even though that was a crazy thing that happened, you could tell that he was willing to stand for what he believed in, and to the point of death. And it was for him. Are you willing to make stands like that for what you believe in, for the causes you believe in? Are you really about that life? Now, as it comes to Israel, I stand for anybody to have the right to live. I stand for people to have a right to live. I believe in life in all factors. I believe that people should have a right to life. I don't think any group of people should be marginalized. I don't think any group of people should be genocide. I don't think any group of people should be destroyed because they're different. Does not necessarily mean that I co-sign for every decision that they make. Right? I don't know how I would, or how I suggest. I don't have a suggestion on how Israeli could have handled this whole thing with Gaza and Palestine differently. I don't know. So for that, I can't pass judgment on it because I don't know a different option. Like, can you imagine somebody coming to America and killing 1,100 Americans on one fell swoop just because? And then take 200 of our men, women, and children and hold them hostage, raping them and put it on social media? Because they did. They raped women, put it on social media. They killed old parents, grandparents, put it on social media. They beheaded people, put it on social media. And, like, our argument is we're going to march across Catella and Disney because of Palestine? Like, are you that stupid? Like, are you that ignorant? Apparently we are. But I don't know a different situation about that. I don't know how I would have handled it. So therefore, I keep very quiet, but I know what to pray for. I pray for the peace in Gaza. I pray for the fighting to stop. I pray for both sides, that the people of Gaza, I pray that they're safe. I pray, like, I could stand with Israel and pray for Gaza. I can actually pray. I do pray that for the end of Hamas. But I could pray for the people of Gaza and hope that no more of them are hurt or killed. Like, you can't call yourself a true Christian if you're not willing to walk out all the definitions, right? And Jesus is very clear that we pray for our enemies. We have to pray for our enemies. We have to love those that hate us, and we pray for those who persecute and try to kill us. So we got to pray for our enemies, even the enemies that are Hamas's enemy. I pray for them. I pray that they find salvation. But I also pray that they are disarmed, because this can't keep happening. Because now you're just killing. You're murder. This is a bloody terrorist group. It's really sad. Is what it is. It's been an interesting month, guys. Interesting month. Another thing that's been happening over in the Middle East is in Nigeria, where there's mass murders of Christians. Some people are saying that they're not Christians, they're just people. But on X, Ted Cruz said that 50,000 Christians have been killed since 2009, 2,000 schools and 18,000 churches destroyed by what he called Islamic armed groups. But he did not He did not cite sources. However, Bill Maher has gone on record and say that they're killing thousands of believers and Christians, and yet none of the news reports are coming out about this. This is some of the things that's been happening right now. So now there's Christians being martyred in other parts of the country, in Africa, missionaries and people who love Jesus, and it's becoming a genocide, so to speak. Thousands of Christians. At one point, I believe there was something like 21 to 23,000 Christians have been murdered since my last podcast 3-4 weeks ago. Since my last podcast 3-4 weeks ago, 22 to 23,000 Christians have been murdered in Nigeria, burnt, wiped off the planet by Islamic groups and terrorist groups trying to install fear and just clean house. This is, and here's something. Not one of our Christian brothers and sisters, not one of our spoken heads is saying much about it. Like, you know who's talking the most about it is Bill Maher. Bill Maher is talking more about it than a lot of our believers. And I'm not talking about, I'm talking about the people who are trying to be Christian influencers. We're not talking about anything. This is something that's been happening in the world today, and it's disheartening and it's sick. And we need to be praying. People, we need to be praying. I don't know if you don't get anything in this podcast today. The only thing I suggest that you get is that we need to be praying. Okay. Times are at a difficult time. People are struggling. People are having some issues, man. People need Jesus more radically now than ever before, myself included. And we're so, especially in America, we're so selfish. We have so much ambition and we have so much access to so many great things that we don't think about the people that are around us that may not have, or we don't think about the people who are struggling every day to make things happen. Not just in this country, but overseas. And, we think that our money is the answer. I'll just send my money overseas, man. I'm grieved. I've been grieved for a while. I've been grieved for a while now, but more so than ever now. I'm grieved at how flippant our Christian brothers and sisters are. We're so dismissive. Like I'm glad Jesus doesn't act like your modern day Christian today in America. I'm glad that Jesus doesn't act like unfortunately, a lot of my friends who are strong believers in God, and just be like, you should be happier. Pick yourself up. Sometimes you can't. Sometimes we need to be there and help somebody up, right? I hate the conversation, and we do this in our Christian churches. We don't want to enable somebody. We don't want to enable. Jesus says, listen, what you did for the least of these, you did for me. And we think least of these, and we automatically go, well, obviously there's poor people in Cuba, poor people in Mexico. I made a statement at a podcast once, and they ended the podcast early. And they asked me not to return. I basically said, they were talking about all the excitement they get to go to Africa and minister to all these people who don't know Jesus. And I'm all about African mission trips. But in California, to go to Africa, you got to put together a lot of money. You got to pay for your plane ticket. You got to pay for the trip because there's an investment involved. Financially, you have to get support. You got to pay for, at least essentials. You got to get a passport. You got to get a plane ticket. Then you got to get a ride to the plane ticket. And it's funny. I said, I remember saying, and I said it out of frustration. I said, it's great that every year thousands of white kids get to drive on the 105, drive through Watts and Compton, drive through downtown LA, drive through Watts Towers to go to LAX, to go to the Tom Bradley terminal and fly to Africa to feed the black kids over there. But the black kids out here are just dying. Listen. They said nothing to me. I'm in a situation right now. Oh, should I say it? Should I say it, Doc? You don't help. Right? There's so many Christians love to brag about how much money they're making and how they're doing in this area, and they have the answers to life because God's blessed them financially, and yada yada yada, point after point after point after point, and it's very flippant. It's extremely flippant, and what it is taking away. Money is not something to brag about. Money is a tool, right? You can use the tool for good. You can use the tool for evil. You can use the tool for neutral things. You can praise God with it, yes. But they're very flippant, and they're like, you can do it too. No, not everyone can do what you do. Like, not everyone's, I don't believe in equality. I've said it many times before. Equality is not a real thing. Okay. Equality is not a real thing. Like Thomas Jefferson said, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That means if we're pursuing for it, that means some people are not going to get it. I don't believe in equality like that. I believe that Jesus makes the equality at the cross. We're all equal when it comes to him and the cross, but we're all given different gifts, and those gifts make us vastly unequal. We have different family members, and the experiences that we had with different families and different upbringings make us completely unequal, right? If equality existed, we wouldn't have sports. If equality existed, we wouldn't have award shows that celebrate peak performances from people. Some people did better than you. Some people don't. That's just how it is. Some people are treated differently than you. And so to get this thing that, this is one man for every, nah, bro. Like Jesus is like, yo, if you see a need, you should fill it, because you don't know what that person's gone through. I want you to help that person, And so it's funny because we drive over Watts Towers, we drive through Compton, and I'm not trying to be critical. I'm just trying to be real. And I watch some of these ministries that try to struggle because it's led by people that are also in that neighborhood, also in that community, and they have seared resources as well. They're trying to make things happen, and they have to deal with all kinds of kind of stuff. It's the same thing at Hope, bro. We've been trying to make so many things happen with Hope and Heritage Park, and they're not happening because we just don't have the resources to make it happen. And as much as I want to sit there and be like, God's going to show up, but to see millions of dollars be given to all these other ministries by people, to people who don't look like us. And I'm not a race person, I'm not, but it's there. It's there. And I'm not saying that there's some groups that are run by blacks. I'm just saying for whatever reason, there's still a lot of ministries that get left to the side. And there are still a lot of people in the streets who don't get needs met. And we make a really big fuss over how many churches we build in Africa and Kenya and Nigeria and all these other places. But South Central is hurting. And it's not hurting no more because our government stepped in, and our government is like, yo, we're going to push them out. And that's what they did. And so now you got, I went and had lunch with a friend in Echo Park. 20 years ago, I wouldn't be caught dead in Echo Park. Okay. 25 years ago, I wouldn't be caught dead in Echo Park. Now I'm meeting friends for avocado toast in Echo Park. And I'm laughing every second. I'm like, yo, we have an avocado toast in Echo Park. This is wild. Like people coming from all over the country trying to make it in the showbiz, and they find a nice little cute spot in Echo Park. What? Find a little, like I'm trying to think of that neighborhood. The concrete jungle don't look the same. Nothing looks the same as it did in the 80s. Even in the IE, like I'm in Pomona, and I'm driving through Pomona now, and I'm like, even Pomona, it's 10 o'clock at night, and you see these white girls jogging on the corner. The sun go down. I'm like, this is crazy because this never was a thing. You couldn't jog. You shouldn't jog in Pomona at 10 o'clock at night, but now they are. There's still some spots here and there in LA, and Alt Watts and all that stuff. But for the most part, we've gentrified a lot of it. So we move people out because money is our God. And so, but how many ministries do we bypass every day? And we brag about how much we have and how much we can do and what we're doing. And every church has a budget that it's almost equivalent to like small production companies. And all we do is just light our church stage so our pastor can preach and we can get a bunch of people watching on YouTube. So we call it ministry, but are people really growing? Because at the same time, people are following Joshua, who said this, the rapture was November 15th, October 7th. And so obviously, are we making a difference? People are saying that they're reading the Bible, but they act like they're not. They talk like they're not. They have no concept of the scriptures. They don't have any understanding of what's going on in the scriptures. Bro, when the real disciples going to step up, bro? When are real disciples going to show up? And I think there's a remnant of those people out there. There's a remnant of disciples that God is ready for. God's calling. And we need to be ready for those. We need to be ready for that. I gotta get off my rant. I have to get off my rant because I gotta go do stuff. There is a level of hustle to this too. I'm personally trying to get to a place where I don't have to hustle so much because am I hustling out of survival? Am I hustling out of need? I don't know. But we got to do better. We got to do better. And we got to be praying. And, I don't know how to end this podcast, but I know that Heritage Park, PROD.com is a website. You go and kick the ballistics and get what you need. We got clothing. We got all kinds of stuff up there. Also, our merch is up. We got new merch coming for the fall and the Christmas time stuff. You got to get your Christmas gifts going. We have some fun things happening. HP, check out my new single. Open the Eyes is available on all streaming platforms. And I got to get out of here. But God bless you 100%. FT Dub, 1%. This episode is dedicated to my homie Josiah. Bro, we're praying for you. And Josiah, who's been a part of HP since the beginning. His mother is going through some very health issues. And I just want to let you know, Jill, we're praying for you. We love you. We hope that for the best. We pray that God's hands be upon you and that his healing power still lives today. And Josiah, we love you too. And Stephanie, we hope you guys, we pray for your safe travels because I know you guys are about trying to get up there to see your mom. And so with that being said, we just love you guys. Anyways, we got to get out of here. I'll talk to you later.